The consumer watchdog is investigating Telstra over the way it sells phone plans to vulnerable Indigenous Australians.
Financial counsellors say Telstra is repeatedly selling unaffordable mobile and tablet plans to people in rural and remote Australia. Our Consumer Affairs reporter Amy Bainbridge has this story from the Kimberley region of WA.
We've come to the Kimberley because financial counsellors working in this region are reporting big problems with Telstra bills. They're saying that there is a rampant mis-selling of contracts to do with phones, tablets and data costs. And financial counsellors say Telstra is playing hardball in many cases where customers can't afford to pay their bills. Now, last year, financial counsellors here submitted a joint complaint to Telstra on behalf of 26 Telstra customers. They managed to have $102,000 worth of debt cancelled, but that hasn't put a stop to the practice.
What's happening time and time again is that my clients don't have it explained to them that on top of the monthly contract fee, this is how excess data works. It's not explained to them, and they're also not shown how the equipment works. Nobody turns on the tablet and says, if you watch movie after movie, it's going to break your budget. What they should be doing is asking the customer for a payslip or a Centrelink income statement so that they can do a basic budget and they can see whether the customer can afford this expensive equipment.
Sometimes the data is not clearly explained, like I said, and if you don't need it, you should switch it off or something, They think that you can understand, but sometimes it's really hard.
Vulnerable customers and customers in all forms of vulnerability is something that we are very aware of and constantly looking to improve how we get that right. And it's in fact in our interest and the customer's interest to get that right. There is no upside, there's no profit upside for selling things to people who can't afford to pay it back.
Financial counsellors say Telstra should agree to abide by the National Consumer Credit Protection Act, which would mean more stringent checks with customers before they sign them up to contracts.
Lots of your comments coming in on the back of that report from Amy Bainbridge. Russell says data plans are a rip-off. If you run out of data, excess data plans are a rip-off. If you run out of data, it should be cut off like a prepaid plan. You cannot even ask them to cut it off, even if you wanted to, like prepaid accounts do. The system is designed, says Russell, to take as much money from you as possible.
Roger's pointing out what he sees as a greater flaw in the system. That's what happens when you've got commission-based pay. Just like banks and financial services, there are incentives there that bring about unintended consequences.
Keep those stories coming in to the usual addresses. Email address breakfast@your.abc.net.au, and you can join the conversation as well, as always, on Facebook and Twitter.